Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this is your first time here, please hit the subscribe button so you can check out my other videos. And if you're back for a second or third or fourth time, thank you for coming back and continuing to paint at home. In today's video, we're gonna paint this really cute little Chihuahua, and it's gonna be in the style of some of the other videos on my channel, to where we'll do an outline, fill in some of the shades of the fur, and then do the outline again. So for my first time and beginner painters, this is a really good painting for you to do to get comfortable with the brushes and the paints and the tools that you need to paint at home. So it's gonna be a lot of fun, and you'll actually enjoy the process a little more than you realize. So what you're gonna see in this video, in the description box below, there is a link to a supply kit. And that supply kit is everything that you need to create this particular painting. So check out that kit, gather what you need, and then kind of come back and start the video again. Another thing that you're gonna see in the description box below is a link to what I call a traceable. And a traceable is a way for my first time and beginner painters to get their initial image, their initial composition on the canvas before they even start painting. And there is a video on how to transfer your traceable, so check that out. All right, so one thing that I encourage in all my videos is if you want to change colors, paint something different, swap this out for a black dog instead of a tan or a white, feel free to do that. You have creative freedom to be expressive with this. Even if you get sloppy and paint outside the lines, just the fact that you are actually painting is very therapeutic for you. So kind of allow yourself to get a little expressive with this and just have fun. So enough talking, let's go ahead and get into the process of painting. All right guys, this is gonna be a fun painting. So head on over to wherever you have your supplies at and turn on your favorite music. And as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now, once you have your traceable transferred to your canvas or your panel, you're going to take the small pointy brush and black paint, and I want you to go over all those lines again. And as you go over the lines, I want you to kind of play with the pressure of your brush. The harder you push your brush against the canvas, the wider the line you're going to make. Lighter pressure is going to equal a smaller or skinnier line. And right now, just play with it and kind of get comfort with the brush and the paint. And if you're one of my first time painters, take a deep breath. This does not have to be perfect. Again, this is just getting you kind of comfortable with your brush and your paint. Now, when you get to the eyes and you're re-outlining those, do take notice that there's a little white catchlight, a little white dot right next to the black pupil. I do want you to fill in the black pupil and leave that little dot white, and you can reference the traceable to see what that looks like if you're not sure. If you happen to paint over that white dot, don't freak out. At a later step in the painting, you can reapply that white catchlight at the very end. All right, so you're doing good. Remember to breathe. And make sure you pause the video, take a progress photo, and we're going to move into painting the background. And here I'm using the medium flat brush and teal paint. You can paint your background anything, any color that you want. And I do recommend letting your black outline dry before you move into painting your background. This will just make it a little bit easier for you so you don't get any black paint in your background. And again, like I said, you can pick any color that you want, and we're going from the edges of our Chihuahua to the edges of our canvas, filling in all that space. And if you're one of my first time painters or a beginner painter, I do encourage you to apply your paint a little thicker than you may be comfortable with. It's going to give you kind of a nice consistency and a nice thickness on top of the canvas to kind of move the paint around. If you can see the texture of your canvas, try applying a little bit more paint and just see how it feels. It will help when we do some wet on wet blending to have a little bit thicker paint on here. And if you're using student grade paint, by applying it a little bit thicker, you get a bit more opaque coverage. If you are using student grade paint, you're perfectly welcome to apply 2 coats if you're not getting the opaque coverage like you want, or try applying your paint a little bit thicker. If you want to finger paint today, go right ahead and do that. You have permission to be kind of an adult kindergartner and just enjoy the process of painting. You're doing good. I'm proud of you for painting at home. It takes a lot of courage to do that, so be kind to yourself as we go through the process. And this is Chihuahua's already starting to look kind of cute with his background filled in. So here we go, wet on wet blending. You can see I slapped some white on there, right on top of the wet background. And you can see as I move my brush, the 2 colors kind of mix together. And it's really just kind of fun to play with this process. You can introduce other colors. You could introduce blue or yellow or even red, kind of anything that you want. But just play with this and get the background to kind of your liking and then move on to the next section. And here you can see I did it a second time. So if you lose a bit of the effect or you want to go a little bit lighter or more intense with the color you're adding, you can just keep adding paint and repeat the process. And like I said, it's quite relaxing just to move the paint around in the background. So enjoy it. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. We're going to be moving into burnt sienna with a little bit of black. And I am moving down to the small or medium flat brush, whichever one you prefer. You can always use the pointy brush to get into smaller spaces, or if you're just more comfortable with that brush. And as we go through the process for the video, every time I recommend to pause the video, I want you to pause the video and observe the shapes of where the last color was placed. And I want you to do your best to mimic that shape on your canvas. And what you're doing is strengthening your eye-hand coordination to where you're looking at something on the screen and then you're translating it to your canvas. And like I said, it's doing a couple of things. It's strengthening your eye-hand coordination. It's getting you comfortable with the paint. And it's getting you comfortable with the brush and the process of painting. If you happen to make some of your spaces larger or smaller than what I make on the video, don't freak out. That's okay. Each one of you is going to kind of produce a slightly different image. Your shapes might be adjusted or a little bit bigger or smaller. That's okay. All right, so now we're just using the regular burnt sienna, no black added to it. We're filling in that gum line, and this is kind of a really pretty reddish brown. It's got a real earthy color. And we're putting the shadows of our Chihuahua in, and we're working backwards. We're going to go a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter as we fill in the space. Again, if you're using student grade paint, you can apply your paint a little bit thicker for a little more opaque coverage, or you can go through the whole process a second time and apply a second layer on top of your first layer. Your choice. And as I'm applying the paint on the canvas, just kind of making little dots or dash marks that overlap each other to create a larger space. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. And now we're going to use burnt sienna plus raw sienna. And as you can see on the plate, I just kind of pull a little bit of each color aside and mix them on the plate to make a new color. Again, this is burnt sienna and raw sienna. And we're applying it to not quite the darkest areas, but a little bit lighter. And again, you are just observing what you see on the video and mimicking it on your canvas as close as possible. If you want to go through this video and switch out colors, maybe use shades of dark gray or shades of light gray, or even go crazy colors with purples and blues, you are more than welcome to do that. And at each step, just switch it out for the color of your choice. If you happen to have anything that has stressed you out this week, it's kind of nice to put it into the paint, into your brush strokes, and you'll be quite amazed at how relaxed you are at the end of painting. Your problem may not be solved, but you'll at least be a little bit more relaxed so that you can deal with it. All right, pause the video, take another progress photo. You're going to clean your brush and we're going to move into raw sienna. And this is kind of a medium tan color. We're going to put this in quite a bit of the area, and then we'll be mixing a lighter color for our next step. And as you're painting this, if you're painting on the swift side, and as this lighter color comes up to some of our other prior colors and the paint is still wet, you are welcome to kind of blend where the two colors meet and soften that line, soften that transition between the two shades. If you're painting on a bit of the slower, more relaxed side and your paint is already dry, that's okay. That's just how you're painting for today. And it might have a bit more of a border or an edge between your colors. That's okay. We call that style and personality. And if you happen to go over some of those black lines, that's okay. We will reapply those black lines closer towards the end of this painting. And we'll apply those lines a little bit thicker, and it gives it a bit of a pop art feel. All right, another place to pause the video and take a progress photo. Now we're going to make a light raw sienna, and this is going to be a mixture of our raw sienna with some white. And you can see on the plate where I'm just mixing it. Each one of you will have a slightly different shade. Again, that is okay. You are working on getting comfortable with the process of painting and getting comfortable with your tools. I tell all my students, painting is not about being picture perfect or photorealistic, but kind of learning to get a little more comfortable with the tools that you have in front of you and kind of learn to see the world from a slightly different perspective. This is a brown Chihuahua, but as you can see, we are not just painting it one solid shade of brown. We are painting a few different shades, a few different variations on here. And this helps kind of give a slight illusion of a 3D effect on a flat surface. And if you're holding your breath, take a deep breath for me. You're doing good. We should have a good majority of the space filled in. Looks like we still have the top of the nose and the tongue and underneath the tongue area. If you need to go back to any of the colors that we've already used to fill in the space, feel free to do that. You can pause the video and just pick back up when you've filled in your area. Pretty nice. This little guy's definitely taking shape and is looking cute. If you need to move down to the pointy brush at any point, feel free to do that as well. All right, you're doing good. It's not too bad painting at home. I hope you're enjoying the process enough to even give this a try a second and third time. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. We're actually going to go back to the raw sienna and burnt sienna mixture and apply it to a few more spots before we move into making the shades of the tongue. And we're just kind of making the shadow a little bit darker underneath his neck, and we'll use it on the top of his nose. So if you need to go back to any of the colors and readjust, or any of the shades and readjust, you have permission to do that. These videos are just kind of a general guideline to get you from point A to point B. You can mix these up. You can kind of go a little bit out of order if you want. But the more that you paint, the more you'll kind of get comfortable with the process and know what you need to do for your creative style. And grabbing some burnt sienna over the top of the nose. You can always do the nose with black and dark gray if you want a Chihuahua with a darker nose. And still using the burnt sienna, and I switch down to the pointy brush and filling in the eye color. And again, you'll notice in a moment that I do not cover that little white dot. If you happen to cover over that dot, you can reapply it in a couple more steps. So don't freak out if you paint over that area. With acrylic paint, if you paint anything you don't like, just let the paint dry and you paint on top of it again. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. You're going to clean your brush. We're still using the pointy brush, and we're going to make a light pink for the tongue. So start with the white, add a tiny amount of red to make your shade of pink. And we're going to fill in a few areas, and I want you to observe where I'm filling in these spaces on the video. Then we're going to make a slightly darker pink and put it in a few other areas. We're making a slightly lighter pink and adding it to a few other areas. And again, just took some white, added it to the side of our darker pink to make a new shade. And using that color to kind of fill in the remaining space on the tongue. And a little bit of the pink on the insides of the ears. If you don't want to add the pink inside the ears, you do not have to. All right, now we're going to add a touch of black to our darker side of the pink, making a grayish pink. And this is going to go a little bit underneath the tongue and a little bit on top of where the tongue is going back into the mouth to kind of create a little hint of some shadows. Again, just pause the video and observe the shape that you see and the placement that you see on the screen. And again, you're just doing your best to replicate that and mimic that on your canvas. And then we're going to move into black paint. And you can just observe where we're adding it, giving some shadow in the mouth, where that gum line is. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. All right, now we're moving into our outline. So small pointy brush, black paint, and we're going to redo all those outlines. And this time I do want you to do those outlines a little bit thicker than maybe you did at the beginning. When we get to the perimeter of the pet in the background, I do want this outline to overlap both your pet colors and the background. Make sure you're breathing. It is not to your benefit to hold your breath for this step. If you need to, you can put your pinky out, rest your pinky on a dry spot on your canvas and kind of use that as your pivot point to help steady your hand. Or you can rest your forearm against the table to help steady your hand. But again, keep breathing. We may feel like we can hold our hands steady by holding our breath, and in fact, it does the opposite. So remember to breathe, laugh at yourself a little bit, and keep on painting. If some of these lines have different widths, that's okay. That's just part of your painting style for today. And I do hope that while you are painting this, you're so focused on your painting that for just a little bit of time, you kind of forget that the world's out there. And you just focus on moving paint across a canvas. Now, one of the things that I tell all my students is right now as you paint, you're pretty close to your canvas. And the general viewing point for artwork and kind of things in life in general are from about 10 to 20 feet away. So when you are done with this, I want you to kind of prop it up and I want you to walk to the end of the room and look at your painting from about 10 feet away. And generally the consensus here is everything looks better from a distance. So don't be upset if you like your painting more from 10 feet away than you do 2 feet away from it while you're painting. That's just part of life. But learning to look at your artwork from that distance while you're working on it kind of helps your brain and helps you understand more of how you're painting and how it's translating. So as you get more into painting, I want you to remember that and remember to look at your paintings and your creative process from a distance. All right, remember to breathe, relax. This is turning out really nice. Oh, pause the video, take your progress photo. We're going to clean the brush and we're going to move into white paint, put a few little highlights and some teeth in there. And again, just kind of observe the placement of where I put these. If you need to redo that catch light in the eyes, feel free to reapply that. Here we go. And it's just a dot. I'm making it just a little bit bigger. And if you're inclined to add white in any place that I do not, feel free to add that. Trust your instincts. And here I just added a little bit more around the eyes and a few other highlights around and a few little key points on this Chihuahua. Again, you're just using the power of observation and seeing where I place this and then applying it to your canvas. All right, guys, I'm really proud of you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to paint with me. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you want to paint in the future. And I look forward to leading you through another lesson sometime soon. So again, thanks for painting. Have a great day. Cheers. Hey guys, I hope your dogs turned out really cute, and more importantly, I hope you enjoyed the process, and hopefully you're a little more relaxed now than at the beginning of your painting. And as with all paintings and creative process, step away from your painting, look at it from a distance and kind of admire your handiwork. As you're uploading these to social media, please tag me in your videos and your images so that way I can find them and see the type of work that you're doing. And it's hashtag #PaintWithLovejoy or @PaintWithLovejoy, or feel free to email them. Your feedback and your photos really kind of help me keep this channel going. So please let me know how you're doing. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that too. Please share this channel with your friends, with other people that want to paint at home, because it is through you guys that my community and my reach will grow to kind of help bring this simple process to those of you at home. I think that kind of takes care of it. Again, thanks for spending some time of your day with me and enjoying the process. And I look forward to painting with you in the future. Cheers. Gonna wait for the plane. Another thing that you're gonna see, oh, let's just start that over. Let's try that again.